Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and I'm also a doctoral student of psychology. Today, we're going to talk about ways that you probably are an attractive man, but you don't realize it based on your specific hobbies. And why I mention it's very specific is because a lot of these hobbies are not just an overarching type of hobby, such as, oh, he exercises. It's going to be much more specific. And this was requested. And I want you guys to know, as y'all probably already know, the research is going to be in the description box. However, research can be dependent. I've seen some research contradict one another. I've seen research change. I've seen where sometimes the research in of itself is only a certain type of medium or methodology to which it might not be as accurate. So I do try to let y'all know about those details when I'm sharing these things. But let's go ahead and jump right in. So the first one I thought was very interesting. It's men. If you guys play a team sport or you guys have played a team sport specifically, a lot of females particularly find that very attractive. So this research was done in 2008 and it was based on the female perspective of men who are attractive based on their hobbies, and the males playing team sports was seen to be very attractive. So what do we find of this? To summarize, women prefer men who play team sports over individual sports or non-athletes, okay? And team sports, so if you guys play team sports, you are actually more preferred for both short-term and long-term relationships. I found that so interesting. And the variables as to why this is attractive, I found to be even more interesting because it was broken up into 4 variables, okay? And the first aspect as to why, if you're a guy who plays team sports, why you're attractive is because you probably have cooperation skills. Does that make sense? Because when you're playing a team sport, and y'all, I don't know much about sports, so correct me if I'm wrong about like how this applies. I'm just reading the research, but I don't really play sports, so my examples might be a little bad. But folks who play team sports, what we found is they tend to have higher cooperation attributes because a lot of y'all, obviously, you guys have to talk to one another. You guys have to cooperate and work things out. And this communication skill, a lot of ladies may want to apply this subconsciously or consciously to their long-term and short-term relationships. So they do find men who play team sports to be more attractive. This is something that they found attractive. Another variable about team sports is leadership skills. Again, y'all, I don't know much about sports, but based on this research, folks who play team sports or who have played team sports tend to have higher leadership skills and qualities because they have to use this skill while playing this sport. Another one was social intelligence, actually, to which a lot of men have higher social intelligence comparison to, well, this is assumed, right? Compared to folks who are non-athletes or individual sports. This is what subconsciously the women are thinking, which is why they find it attractive, because they think you may have more social intelligence, which you guys probably do, because you guys are playing sports with other men. And so you guys have to have social intentions with one another, conflict resolution skills, the ability to navigate social situations, because you're playing with one another. Not just with one another, you're also going against another team, which is the last variable, group dominance, right? If your group is able to, win against another team, that can be seen as very attractive as well, because collectively, all of y'all have used your social intelligence, your leadership skills, and your cooperation skills to, in fact, win. Of course, also your athletic skills. But a lot of times that can be very attractive. And so that's one trait that you guys might not realize makes you attractive. Another one, a lot of men may not realize this, but this is both for male and female, actually. If you play a musical instrument, you're more attractive. This research 2022 shows that those who play a musical instrument, that increases their attraction. So both genders, male and female. And what we found, males particularly, I guess musical men, however you want to call it, they were rated as more attractive, especially when the music was emotionally expressive, because it shows that these individuals demonstrate talent, they demonstrate emotional expressiveness, and they demonstrate discipline. Really interesting. I didn't think about the discipline part until I read this, because it's true. I don't play a musical instrument, but a lot of you guys might. It takes a lot of discipline to practice that continuously. And when we look at it from that perspective, you are using that discipline to not only improve your emotional expressiveness and talent, but it also shows that you have the characteristics to be consistent, which can be applied to relationships. Does that make sense? So this is why this could be very attractive. Research was 2022, okay? Now, the next one is creative arts, more particularly writing, painting, and storytelling. And we're going to talk about the research, but I do want a disclaimer on it, okay? Because this research might be a slight bit triggering. It's extremely interesting. So if it's not triggering for you guys, I recommend you looking into it. This was done in 2016. And I kind of feel bad saying it, but it's so interesting, the findings, okay? And these are not my words. These are literally, it's in the research. Basically, they're seeing that creativity compensates for low physical attractiveness. I really did not like how they worded it, but that's what it says, okay? Basically, let's break that up because I think that's a lot. If a male is perceived as what this is regarded as low physical attractiveness, if he has a creative expression, that compensates and makes him attractive in both social and romantic partners, right? So friendships, casual relationships, dating, marriage, he is more attractive, not necessarily because of his physical attributes, but because of his creative aspirations. And so we can look at it like, let's say I feel so bad saying this, but we're going to make this video, okay? Let's say two men, they both are rated maybe on the lower end of physical attractiveness, whatever that means, okay? If one of them have a creative avenue, that compensates and suddenly he is quite a bit more attractive. I mean, you can look into it. It actually rates him as much more attractive, especially, it's so weird, especially if they were not attractive. So it's like him not being physically attractive, but he's like creative. Suddenly it makes him, that combination makes him attractive. Does that make sense? So I don't know. I'm sorry that I keep laughing, but I just kind of feel bad because it seems kind of mean, but it's true. It is true. Men are described as, who were described as creative, were rated attractive, especially if they were not attractive prior to understanding this. So what we can kind of conclude of this is attractiveness actually enhances both short-term and long-term contexts, which is kind of cool, right? And why these attributes, the variables as to why this is, creative hobbies show intelligence, originality, emotional depth, and problem solving skills. So that is why. And the last one is a creative skill, but it's a little bit more specific and the variables are different, which is why I kept it separately, okay? If you are a man who likes photography, like literally photography, it is related to creative studies, but the research showed a little bit of a different angle, which is why I spoke to it separately. Photography shows that your visual aspect, it has a broader creative intelligence, which is consistent to increase romantic appeal. This is what we found. And so basically, the reason why this is, why men who are photographers are attractive, is because it can seen as like, it shows that you're sensitive to the aesthetic. So you're careful, right? You're attentive. So people might think that because you're a photographer, which is a really cool hobby, by the way, if any of you guys are, I think that's so cool. It means that you're very attentive, you're very specific, and you care a lot. That's kind of what it translates to. And it can kind of be shown that you have very expressive observation skills. You're very artistically expressive, and some people might perceive it as that translates as to more romantic. Does that make sense? And so these are some of the traits that you guys have that makes you attractive without realizing it, okay? I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I will see you in the next one.